Chris Cormier versus Jay Cutler is always an interesting debate. These guys competed so many times together, on the Arnold Classic stage in particular, with Jay always seeming to get the Duke over Chris Cormier. Even though Chris, he brought some of his better packages then. Today we're going to do a fan request between the 1999 Chris Cormier, which was, in my opinion, his best. He was bigger later on, so side by side, it might not be his best, but I think it is. Overall condition, what a package. And 2006 for Jay Cutler. And man, oh man, was he big. I mean, look how big I was. He was huge, folks. So you can see that right out of the chute. This is going to be lines, condition, aesthetics for Chris Cormier versus just that width, that huge size. And I hear that. Here's the front double. And I hear that from, I believe, judges. Somebody was talking about it at one point in time, that Jay, live on stage, side by side, he is just so much wider, bigger and wider. And the pictures, I don't know, they don't really reflect that in a lot of the shots. But here, 99 versus 2006, yes, Jay is going to have a size advantage. The midsection of Chris Cormier, it creates such a good physique for this man. Those lats, boom, they pop out, as well as the quads. He's bending at the knees a little bit, made him slightly shorter than Jay. Sizing could be a bit of an issue. I mean, you can see side-by-side pictures, but the angles are going to be a little bit different between these two events. But I think it's a safe bet that Jay would have an edge in the size of the arms, but the physique would have to go to Chris Cormier. So out of the first pose, I think Jay would get an edge. I think he is that big, that good in the arms. It's a front double biceps after all, folks. Now we go to the next shot, and it makes it a very interesting matchup because Chris is getting this one. Actually, one of the better front lat spreads in maybe the history of the sport. When you consider his quads, separation is awesome. Jay, of course, he is a match for Chris Cormier, maybe more than a match in the quad development. Look at the feathering all over Jay. Plus, he is winning in the calf department. But the tiny little wee waistline on Chris, it makes those quads just boom, creating that perfect X-frame. When you think about it, the front lat spread, it's gotten worse over the years. You gotta consider Dorian Yates. He was the pinnacle of it. And of course, Coleman, after that, he was outstanding. Jay, earlier on in his career, he was pretty good. But here in 2006, I think it was just because he was so big. He was like 300 pound, this guy. He was just massive here. As he says, yes, I was big. I just ate a lot of food with onions. Onions gets you really ripped. I think Jay said that one time. But having said that, Chris Cormier absolutely getting an edge over Jason in the front lat spread. So it is a tie game heading into the side chest development. And folks, these are pictures. I'm not a judge. We're just having fun here. But I like to take it a little bit serious. I want to know who is actually winning this matchup. Now you look at the side, and it is a bit of a debate. I think the close pack looks good for Chris. The far pack looks good for Jason. Look at Jason's delt. Wow. At first glance, I thought Chris was winning, but Jay, he looks very substantial. Great big delt. Can't get over that big shoulder muscle on Jay. Very impressive. Unfortunately, we don't have the whole physiques. Here's the side tricep. We don't have the whole physique for either of the side pose, which is... It is disappointing when it comes to sizing, things of that nature. Jay looks way better than Chris here. Look at the abs, even in the arms. Now, I can't get past this. Do you guys think, and hey, if you don't think this, you tell me the truth. You don't have to agree with me just to get along and be my friend. Do you guys think that Chris, he kind of looks like Master Tensu from Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles fame? Do you guys think he looks a little bit like him? Well, I do. And I also think that Jay Cutler looks a little bit like Chris Farley. You guys remember Chris? He was a riot. For sure. So, with all due respect, Chris Cormier, Jay Cutler, they look like action stars, for sure. Now go to the back shot. With perhaps Chris Cormier in a bit of a deficit. Is that proper use of that terminology? Deficit? He's in the hole. Slightly. I would have gave Jay both side shots, but this back shot, I am not giving it to Jay. Not a very clear picture of his back. Glutes, hamstrings. But if it was my guess, I would say Jay might be in better condition in terms of that. But the back itself, Chris Cormier, this guy was maybe beating Ronnie Coleman in the back pose. And hold on before you click unlike or unsubscribe. Look at this back lat spread. Ronnie's still winning on the condition, but still Chris Cormier, one of the better backs in bodybuilding in the 1990s. And in my opinion, I think that he is taking Jay in the back lat. Now the back double, on the other hand, you can really see that thin skin, things of that nature for Jay Cutler. He has a stride badonkadonk, something that our friend Mr. Cormier, he always struggled with. Never did achieve the striated glutes. I mean, who cares about striated glutes? Look at the hamstrings. Does that not prove that he is in the condition? Without having to get a strided up, big dry raisin ass? Either way, Jay is a beast. All lower back, lower lat insertion attachments aside. Because Chris Cormier, he is a thing of beauty. If they were going to carve a Michelangelo or whatever, a David, with lat insertions, if they say, let's try beefing this statue up a little bit, they'd put perfectly drawn out lat insertions, just like Chris Cormier has. And obviously not like what Jay has. Like I mentioned before, there's no border. It's no man's land. Are we in the U.S.? Or are we not in the U.S.? Well, we are and we aren't, if you know what I mean. You wouldn't know if you were on lower back area or lat land. But back shots, maybe 1-1. Arguably Chris winning both with a little epithet. Jay maybe more conditioned. Hard to say. Now we go to the abs and thigh, and Jay Cutler could be in trouble. Absolutely. Absolutely. I didn't even mean to do that. That was a little happy accident. Life is just full of those happy accidents, so do not erase them, folks. Embrace them. They are your best friend. Absolutely. They are your best friend. Just like Bob Ross says, but Jay Cutler, as good as he is, conditioned, he's got the quad, feathering. Chris Cormier was built for this pose. Look at the ab. Look at the ab setup. This is Hattie Shupin back in the 90s. Wow. Feathering in the quad as well. And then you go to the most muscular. Good shot for both gentlemen. And I would wager to say that this picture of Chris Cormier might be edited. Does it not look a little touched up? I mean, the guy looks fantastic, so maybe it's not. It's just I don't remember his arms being that big and the feathering in the quad being that noticeable. But what the heck do I know? Using these two shots, it's still a battle. Cormier tilted, he's twisted just so. Maybe takes away from some of that precious width that he needs against a big barn door like Jay Cutler. So going off this shot, this pose here, it is absolutely a tight squeeze of a matchup. It's a close call is what I mean. So Chris Cormier winning that front lat spread. Jay, of course, winning the front double. I gave Jay both of those side shots. And I gave Chris the abs and thigh. Most muscular, kind of a toss-up, to be honest with you. And the back shots could really go either way, depending on, you got to think, condition wins bodybuilding competitions. And if Jay is that much more conditioned, he would absolutely win. Going off these pictures, I'm just a fan, remember. I'm going to say Chris Cormier wins. I have Chris Cormier winning more shots because I love that rear lat spread. And I don't even know if Jay's winning the rear double. It's absolutely a good one. Good pose for Jay. But most muscular as well. You could easily side one way or the other. And I, again, kind of leaning towards Chris more than Jay. I guess I just prefer his physique. Let me know. Who do you guys think is winning? Kind of a good bet to say Jay would win if it was a realistic matchup, because he won the Olympia title. Of course, Ronnie, Chris Cormier, he was close to the 99 Ronnie, the best Ronnie of all time. 2006 Ronnie, nowhere near that. Have a great one, folks.